Do you ever wonder why some realtors are getting all the deals on social media and some seem like they're not getting them at all? Today, I'm going to show you exactly how social media creates referrals and why past clients keep reaching out, checking in, and tagging me in things years after their closing. On Tuesday here on the channel, we talked about what I really track and the analytics that matter, and how I don't really care about likes or comments. I care about views, and I care about, first and foremost, more than even views, I care about how am I serving and impacting others and taking care of them and really building relationships with people. And I firmly believe when you stop chasing the likes and the comments, your business will have success. Just a few weeks ago, I got tagged in a local Facebook group with someone who bought a home with me in 2020, the first year I sold a home. They haven't liked a post in months, they haven't DM'd me in forever, but they still trusted me enough to put my name out there. And that's the power of consistent connections. That's the power of social media. That's the power of what can happen when you put in the work, because not every single day has to be a deal closing or sold this many homes or a client review. But what it has to do is consistently put you in front of people. Someone that I know and trust years ago said, whenever you post on social media, it's like an advertisement, even one you don't pay for, right? Whenever they see my name, whenever people see your name on Facebook, they should think Sam, Joe, the realtor. When people look at my stuff on social media, even if it is not real estate related, they see John Shookman posted this and John Shookman's a realtor. And that's the power of what can happen when you are consistently there. People that tag realtors on social media for leads or things like that are not the realtors that post the prettiest listing photos or the videos or who brag about their production. They're the people that seem real and human and not a salesperson. And we've talked about this, right? When you tell stories about your clients, about your family, about your journey, people feel like they know you. And when someone knows you as their trusted realtor and believes in what you do and those kinds of things, your name is the first person on their mind. I'll share a story with you. It's actually interesting how social media can kind of affect your business. I closed a deal last week, and it was someone that I used to rent a co-working space at, and they had an office there. I had an office there. But it was so funny because they had friends who were moving to Lancaster, and they referred me to those friends. They had never done work with me, they had never bought a home with me, but they referred me because they saw my stuff on social media. And then the really cool thing for me was their friends bought in Lancaster last November. And then they bought, basically a year later, they bought a home with me as well. And constantly through the journey, they were talking about how they see my journey. They didn't say this, but what they saw was my buckets. The faith and family stuff, real estate buyers and sellers, Wolfpack and social media coaching, Phillies and sports, and financial literacy. They saw all of that. Some of those buckets, and I said this in those videos, right? Talking about the buckets, some of these buckets merge together and combine, right? They talked about things that I say about financial literacy. Well, guess what? Then guess what? When they were going to buy a home, they thought and asked questions based on what they saw me post about financial literacy. Those buckets created connection. And so it was so cool to see them buy a home. When we got to settlement day last week or a couple weeks ago, whenever it was, they actually said, we're kind of sad this process is over because that means we won't see you anymore, to look at homes. And I'm like, we can still hang out. We can grab beers or hang out, have game. They even said something like, oh, do you and your wife do game nights? And I'm like, oh my gosh, all the time. We love that stuff. And they said, okay, we'll have to have you over for game nights, right? Here is what I would kind of call the referral pinwheel or flywheel or whatever. People watch what you're doing, people trust you, people remember you, and then when they recommend you to a friend, then that person becomes your Facebook friend and sees the same thing. They watch, they trust, they might buy a house with you or whatever, they remember you, then they tag you, right? So much of my business now comes from social media and people that used me before or some that even didn't, but see what I bring to the table in real estate through social media and refer people to me. And when you kind of have this spinning little flywheel, it never stops once you build that momentum, right? Some of you never are getting tagged because you disappear for weeks. People forget that you exist as a realtor, right? And I will keep saying it here. The biggest thing you can do is be consistent. Social media is not about perfection. It is not about having the perfect post or most put together post or whatever. It is about staying visible enough for people to remember your name at the exact moment someone needs a realtor, right? You know, it's so funny. I've had people that will recommend me to somebody. They're like, "Oh, my buddy was looking for a realtor and I just saw your post about something," right? And that's a connection point from consistency on social media. It really is. And if you want to understand the metrics that actually matter that we talked about a little bit on Tuesday and how to create consistent referrals like we're talking about today, please go and listen to this week's podcast. We're going to dive deeper into the metrics that matter and what you should ignore forever. And so, as we close this out, I want you guys to understand there is so much potential on Facebook and Instagram and social media, right? I firmly believe that every time you post anything, today I was heading to a showing and there was a bear on the highway on 81 North. I'm not kidding, here in Pennsylvania, above Harrisburg. And I made a post about that. That's funny. People are like, how'd you get delayed because of a bear? Because the state troopers were out and they had a couple lanes blocked trying to get this bear. Well, I'm not begging anyone to buy or sell a house, but it creates, kind of a connection point over something funny. I'm sure over the next couple weeks, people are going to see me and say, "Oh, have you seen any bears recently?" So even silly stuff like that becomes a connection point. And I would just remind you as we close this out, every time you put your name on Facebook, anything saying happy birthday, some commenting on someone's post, it reminds them that you are a realtor. It's like a free billboard for you to remind people that you are out there doing real estate, crushing it for your clients, and having a lot of fun with it. And so I really hope that you can use this information to grow online. And like we talked about Tuesday and on the podcast today, don't trust the comments, the likes. Don't worry about that. Those are vanity metrics. Try to get in front of more people, try to serve more people, and try to just, yeah, get more people looking at your stuff and growing your views. Next week on the YouTube channel, we're going to talk all about how to continue growing this trust on social media. And then, well, doing different things in your business if you want to grow. So thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate you guys very much and look forward to seeing you here on the channel next week.